Welcome, dear listeners. Today I bring you the story of a true genius, a man whose mind changed the way we understand the universe. He is none other than Sir Isaac Newton. This biography is not just about history. It's about learning English through a fascinating story. So as you listen, you'll improve your English skills while discovering the life of a brilliant scientist. Let's dive in. Isaac Newton was born on December 25, 1642, in a small village called Woolsthorpe in Lincolnshire, England. Imagine the world at that time. There were no cars, no electricity, and no modern machines. It was a simple, quiet, and rural life. Isaac's family lived on a small farm. His father, also named Isaac Newton, was a farmer. But here's a sad fact. His father passed away 3 months before Isaac was born. This means Isaac never met his father. His mother, Hannah Asko, had to raise him alone, but life wasn't easy for her. She had to manage the farm and take care of her baby. Isaac was born very early. He was premature, meaning he came into the world before the expected time. He was so small and weak that people didn't think he would survive. But little Isaac was a fighter. He grew stronger, though he remained a quiet and thoughtful child. When Isaac was 3 years old, his mother remarried. She married a wealthy man named Barnabas Smith. But here's the twist. Barnabas didn't want Isaac to live with them, so Isaac was sent to live with his grandparents. This was heartbreaking for young Isaac. He felt abandoned and alone. Living without his mother made Isaac a quiet, introverted boy. He spent a lot of time by himself, but instead of playing with other children, he loved building things. He made small mechanical toys, and even many windmills. This shows how creative and curious he was. Even as a child, Isaac attended the local village school, where he showed some interest in reading and learning. But when he was 12, he was sent to the King's School in Grantham, a nearby town. Here he stayed with a local family because it was too far to travel every day. In school, Isaac wasn't the best student at first. He wasn't interested in schoolwork, and his grades were just average. But everything changed one day. A boy at school bullied him, and Isaac decided to prove he was better, not just in strength, but in knowledge. From that moment, he became a hard-working and brilliant student. Isaac loved reading. He read books about science, mathematics, and the stars. He often spent his free time observing nature, the movement of water, and the behavior of light. Little did he know these simple interests would later make him one of the greatest scientists in the world. At the age of 14, another major event happened in Isaac's life. His stepfather, Barnabas, passed away. Isaac's mother decided to bring him back home to Woolsthorpe. She wanted Isaac to become a farmer like his father, but Isaac wasn't interested in farming. He found it boring. Instead, he spent his time reading and building mechanical tools. One day, his uncle, Reverend William Asau, noticed Isaac's intelligence. He believed Isaac was meant for something greater than farming. With his uncle's help, Isaac returned to school. He worked hard and impressed his teacher. By the time he was 18, Isaac was ready for the next big step in his life. He was admitted to Trinity College at the University of Cambridge. This was the beginning of his journey toward greatness. At that time, Cambridge was a place for learning about philosophy, religion, and basic sciences. However, the world was changing. People were starting to explore new ideas about the universe. This was the time of the scientific revolution, and Isaac would become one of its brightest stars. At Cambridge, Isaac worked as a servant to earn money for his education. He cleaned rooms, served meals, and helped other students. Life wasn't easy, but Isaac didn't mind. He loved learning and spent most of his time studying. His favorite subjects were mathematics, astronomy, and physics. He read books by great thinkers like René Descartes and Galileo Galilei. Isaac didn't just read these books, he questioned them. He wanted to understand the world in his own way. One of his favorite pastimes was watching the stars at night. He wondered how the planets moved and why objects fall to the ground. These questions would later lead to his greatest discoveries. In 1665, when Isaac was 23 years old, a terrible disease called the Great Plague spread across England. The university had to close to keep everyone safe. Isaac returned to his family home in Woolsthorpe. This time away from Cambridge turned out to be a blessing. Isaac had more time to think deeply about the universe. He called this period his Year of Wonders, and for good reason. While at home, Isaac conducted experiments. One day, while sitting under an apple tree, he saw an apple fall to the ground. This simple event sparked a big idea in his mind. He wondered, why does the apple fall down instead of going up or sideways? Isaac realized that the same force that pulls the apple to the ground might also control the movement of the moon and planets. He called this force of gravity. This idea was the seed for his famous law of universal gravitation. During his time at Woolsthorpe, Isaac also began working on something new: calculus. Calculus is a type of advanced mathematics that helps us understand things like motion, change, and speed. Isaac's work in calculus would later become one of his most important contributions to science. Imagine this: a young man sitting alone in the countryside creating a new branch of mathematics. It's incredible to think about how his mind worked. When the plague ended in 1667, Isaac returned to Cambridge. He became a Fellow of Trinity College, which means he was recognized as a brilliant thinker. 2 years later, in 1669, at the age of 27, he was appointed as the Lucasian Professor of Mathematics. This was one of the most prestigious positions in the university. As a professor, Isaac continued to explore his ideas. He built tools, performed experiments, and wrote about his findings. He didn't like teaching large classes, so he focused on his research. Around this time, Isaac began studying light. He wanted to understand how light works. Using a simple glass prism, he discovered something amazing. Isaac found that white light is not just one color. It's made up of many colors like a rainbow. When light passes through a prism, it splits into red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. This discovery changed the way people thought about light and colors forever. He also built the first reflecting telescope, which used mirrors instead of lenses. This telescope was smaller but more powerful than others at the time. It was a huge achievement and helped Isaac gain recognition among scientists. By his early 30s, Isaac Newton was no longer just a curious student. He was becoming one of the greatest minds of his time. His discoveries in gravity, mathematics, and light were revolutionary. People began to see him as a true genius. However, Isaac was not an easygoing man. He was very private and didn't like sharing his ideas quickly. He wanted to make sure everything he discovered was perfect before showing it to the world. This perfectionism sometimes made his life difficult, but it also ensured that his work was of the highest quality. He preferred working quietly and avoided the spotlight. However, this was about to change. A challenge from another scientist would push him to reveal his genius to the world. During this time, Robert Hooke, a well-known scientist in England, was studying the motion of planets. Hooke believed he had figured out the secret of how planets move around the sun. He proposed that a force like gravity might be responsible, but Hooke's ideas were incomplete. When Newton heard about Hooke's claims, he was intrigued. Newton had already done work on gravity years earlier, but he hadn't shared it with anyone. He decided it was time to put his ideas into writing. Newton worked day and night refining his theories. He wanted to prove without any doubt that gravity was the key to understanding the universe. He calculated how gravity affects the Moon, the Earth, and the other planets. His work showed that gravity isn't just a force on Earth, it's a universal law. In 1687, at the age of 45, Newton published his masterpiece Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, often called the Principia. This book changed the world. It explained the three laws of motion and the law of universal gravitation. Here are Newton's famous three laws of motion. 1. An object will stay still or keep moving in the same direction unless a force acts on it. 2. The more force you apply to an object, the faster it will move. 3. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. These laws helped people understand how everything in the universe works, from falling apples to the motion of planets. The Principia was not just a book. It was a revolutionary moment in science. It made Newton famous across Europe. Scientists, philosophers, and even kings admired his genius. While the world celebrated Newton's brilliance, his personality remained the same. He was still a quiet, reserved man who preferred working alone. He rarely smiled and was known for being extremely focused. He would spend hours, even days, solving a single problem. Newton's perfectionism was both a strength and a weakness. It made his work flawless, but it also caused tension with other scientists. He didn't like criticism and often argued fiercely with anyone who challenged his ideas. In 1696, Newton took on a surprising new role. He became the warden of the Royal Mint, the organization responsible for making coins in England. At that time, counterfeit coins were a big problem, and the economy was suffering. Newton brought his sharp mind and attention to detail to this new job. Newton wasn't just a scientist, he became a detective. He investigated counterfeits and introduced new methods to improve the quality of coins. Thanks to his efforts, the Royal Mint became much more efficient, and the problem of fake money decreased significantly. In 1703, Newton was elected as the president of the Royal Society, the most prestigious group of scientists in England. This position cemented his reputation as the greatest scientist of his time. A year later, in 1704, Newton published another major work, Optics. In this book, he explained his discoveries about light and color in detail. He also included ideas about the nature of the universe, showing his endless curiosity and imagination. In 1705, Newton was knighted by Queen Anne, earning him the title Sir Isaac Newton. This was a rare honor, showing how much his work was valued not just by scientists, but by society as a whole. Newton's brilliance, hard work, and determination transformed him into a legend. As Isaac Newton grew older, his life took a different turn. By the early 1700s, Newton was no longer the young, curious scientist who worked tirelessly in his room. By the time Newton was in his 60s, he was widely regarded as a genius. However, fame came with its own problems. Many people admired him, but others envied him. Newton often found himself in arguments with other scientists who claimed credit for some of his discoveries. One of the most famous disputes was with Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, a German mathematician. Both Newton and Leibniz had worked on calculus, but they developed their methods independently. When Leibniz published his work, Newton's supporters accused him of copying Newton's ideas. This led to a bitter rivalry between the two men, which lasted for years. Newton's perfectionism and stubbornness made these conflicts even worse. He couldn't tolerate criticism and often spent years defending his work. While these disputes took a toll on his mental and emotional health, they also showed his determination to protect his legacy. In his later years, Newton became a mentor to younger scientists. Many people came to him for advice and guidance. Newton was happy to share his knowledge, but he also set high standards. He believed in hard work, discipline, and curiosity. One of his famous quotes was, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." This meant that Newton acknowledged the contributions of the great thinkers before him. He believed that progress in science was a team effort, even though he often worked alone. Newton spent his last years living in London. He was financially secure and well-respected, but he never married or had children. He devoted his time to studying the Bible, reflecting on his life, and continuing his research. Even in old age, Newton's mind remained sharp. He would often tell visitors stories about his discoveries and how he overcame challenges. He wanted young people to understand the importance of perseverance and curiosity. Newton passed away on March 20th, 1727, at the age of 84. His death marked the end of an extraordinary life, but his legacy was just beginning. Isaac Newton's contributions to science and mathematics transformed the way we understand the universe. His discoveries laid the foundation for modern physics, engineering, and astronomy. His laws of motion and gravity are still taught in schools today. Calculus became a critical tool for scientists, engineers, and economists. His work on light and optics revolutionized our understanding of vision and color. Newton's influence extended beyond science. He inspired countless individuals to think differently, work harder, and never stop asking questions. His life was proof that curiosity, hard work, and resilience can change the world. Isaac Newton's story is not just about science, it's about the human spirit. Here are some powerful lessons we can learn from his life. 1. Curiosity is the key to discovery. Newton's questions about the world, why apples fall, why planets move, led to some of the greatest discoveries in history. Always stay curious and ask why. 2. Hard workers beat talent. Newton wasn't born a genius. He worked tirelessly, studied relentlessly, and never gave up even when life was hard. 3. Failure is part of success. Newton faced criticism, challenges, and even failures, but he never let these stop him. Instead, he used them as motivation to improve. 4. Humility is strength. Despite his fame, Newton remained humble. He acknowledged the contributions of others and always credited the giants before him. Today, more than 300 years after his death, Newton's ideas are still shaping the world. Every time we launch a rocket, design a machine, or study the stars, We are building on Newton's legacy. His life reminds us that one person with determination and vision can make a difference that lasts for centuries. Newton's story is a reminder that greatness doesn't come easily. It requires dedication, resilience, and the courage to think differently. Let his journey inspire you to work hard, stay curious, and always aim for the stars. Isaac Newton's life teaches us one powerful truth. Greatness is not born. It is built. He was not born a genius. He became one through hard work, curiosity, and a refusal to give up no matter how hard life got. Now think about your dreams. Maybe you want to learn something new, build a career, or do something that changes the world. Remember, every great journey starts with a single step. You don't need to be perfect today. You just need to take that step, work hard, and believe in yourself. Newton started as a small boy on a farm, but he dared to dream big. If he could overcome his challenges, so can you. The world is waiting for your brilliance, your ideas, and your success. Don't stop because of fear. Don't quit because it's hard. Keep going because one day people might be telling your story to inspire others. If this story motivated you, if you believe in never giving up, hit the like button and share it with someone who needs inspiration. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel because together we will keep learning, growing, and reaching for the stars. You have greatness inside you. Now go take the first step and start your journey. Your future is waiting. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories that help you learn English while exploring history. See you in the next story.